Yeah, the floor is yours.
Uh, Great, thanks, Austin. Welcome, everyone. I now call this regular meeting of the KCRHA Implementation Board to order. We start with grounding our work in our theory of change, which is if we create a homeless response system that centers people with lived experience, then we will be able to focus on responding to needs and limiting inequities in order to end homelessness for all. This is a hybrid meeting, as are all of our meetings. There's a physical location as well as virtual access. Our in-person location today is at the Seattle Public Library, Lake City branch. Austin, will you please take the roll?
Just 1 second. Let me make sure I got everybody in attendees. Flying a little solo today.
Something just popped up. It said Marvin joined the Teams.
Yeah, well, I'll get Marvin in here. I might have. Nobody's. Yes. Yeah. Member Anderson. Member Caminos.
Here.
Member Carvalho.
Here.
Member Shelmanack. Chair Moritz.
Here.
Member McHenry Jr.
Present.
Member Pat now. Member Brandon.
Here.
Member Reddy.
Here.
Member Floyd. Member Ross.
I think you're on mute, Christopher. His mouth is moving. I think we can recognize him.
I think we can count him on the. Yep. All right. There we go. Member Watt.
Here.
And member D. Alrighty, I will be working on getting a couple others in here, but Chair, we do have quorum with 8 currently.
Excellent, thank you. Now we'd like to acknowledge that King County is located on the unceded traditional land of the Coast Salish peoples. We honor this land and its people past and present. We are committed to directing funding and resources to organizations led by and in support of Native and Indigenous people. We now move on to public comment. Apologies to everybody for the omission in this special meeting of not having that originally. As soon as that was brought to our attention, we corrected that. We do have time to have each member have 2 minutes today. If you're in the Zoom, please raise your hand now, and Austin will call on you in the order received. I don't believe you have anyone in person with you there, Austin, but if someone wanders in, you can recognize them.
Yes. Just dealing with some technical difficulties really quick. Apologies. Perfect. Let me write these down as they come in. Member Floyd. Member Floyd. Are you present? Jaja?
Present.
Yeah. Cool. Sorry,
Austin, I also messaged Marvin letting him know he was on the wrong link.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Sorry, y'all. It's taking a while to load. The library's Wi-Fi is down. So
yeah, Austin, I see 3 people here. I don't mind just emceeing this, given that you're on a bad connection. If that's better.
No. Do you see my screen? Do you see my screen now?
I can see you're a little choppy. Why don't you go ahead, and if it craps out, I'll take over.
Okay, cool. First up we have is Tamara Bauman. Tamara, I give you permission to speak. If you want to unmute, test your mic, and then I'll begin your 2 minutes after that.
Perfect. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. Thank you very much. My name is Tamara Bauman. I am a housing advocate and COC board member, and I'm here today to urge you to pause the current CEO search process and resume this at a future date. Reasons for my request include the following. There is a pending lawsuit against the IB for alleged violation of OPMA regulations. Ethically speaking, major decisions about government leadership should not be made when the same decision makers are being accused of wrongdoing. Hence, the CEO search should be put on pause, with Daryl Powell remaining as interim CEO until the lawsuit has been adjudicated. In the nearly 4 years of KCRHA's lifespan, neither the IB or GC governing committee have fulfilled their obligation to meet with the COC board or engage us in our advisory capacity. These are core responsibilities written into the ILA. If the IB and GC cannot fulfill the functions that were outlined in KCRHA's founding document, then those two boards have already undermined progress and compromised the community's trust in their ability to govern. The COC board has offered and suggested meeting times to no avail. The governance structure at KCRHA needs to change, and this has been cited by KCRHA's founding CEO, Mark Dones, and current interim CEO, Powell. I believe the next candidate will experience the same dysfunction if the governance structure does not change substantially. The final candidate, while exemplary in her federal policy work, does not possess the qualifications to manage a local independent government agency already buckling under the weight of public scrutiny and controversy. The candidate has no ties to King County and has no work history in the housing and homelessness field. I worry that she'll be taken advantage of by self-interested politicians and philanthropists, and that she won't have the guts to navigate the political pressure or intensity of this work. Her stance on forced displacements and criminalization is also very disappointing, and the fact that 2 of the 3 final candidates for CEO withdrew their application within days of each other is deeply concerning to me, regardless of the assurance from NPAG that withdrawals are common in
Thank
these
you,
scenarios.
Samira. Thank you. Your time is up. Thank you. Next up we have is Elizabeth Malpin. Elizabeth, you've been given permission to speak. If you want to unmute, test your mic. And then your 2 minutes will start after that.
Hello. I would echo what was said by Tamara, that I feel deeply disappointed that Powell is stepping down. It's a shame that he cannot stay. And I hope that you can find a candidate who has a little more familiarity with homelessness and with this region. And I will cede the rest of my time to whomever is next. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Next up I have is Allison Eisinger. Allison, you've been given permission to speak. If you want to test your mic, and then your 2 minutes will start after that.
Thanks very much, Austin. Testing.
I hear you, Allison.
Great, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to give public comment. Good afternoon, members of the implementation board. My name is Allison Eisinger. I'm the director of the Seattle-King County Coalition on Homelessness. I will be brief. I want to state clearly that the work of addressing the needs of people experiencing homelessness carries on despite significant governance issues and structural problems within the Regional Homelessness Authority, some of which were baked into the agency as the result of elected officials getting involved in the design of that governance structure, and some of which we can credit to other sources. Those issues should not affect the ability of this board, the governing committee, or the staff of the KCRHA to carry out their responsibilities. The members of the Coalition on Homelessness are working under completely inadequate contracts to try to respond to increased needs. And the organization of the agency responsible for the homeless crisis response system is one factor that is getting in the way. The size of the budget that the Regional Homelessness Authority has to work with is also getting in the way. The fact that the city of Seattle has decided to remove $14 million of funding and act as though it is possible to use outreach contracting separate from the rest of the work of the homelessness crisis response system gets in the way. What we actually need is a functional system that can and should be reformed and reconsidered, but we cannot tolerate any more disruption in the work of the agency or the
Allison, your
organizations
time.
that it contracts with.
Allison, your time is up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up I have is Marvin. Marvin, you've been allowed to speak. If you want to unmute, test your mic. I've tried a couple times to promote you to panelist.
Could you try one more time? I just didn't see them. That's
Okay,
all I was
yep,
raised my hand for.
Perfect. All right, I'll get you on over here. All right, after that, we got Ruby Tuesday. Ruby, you've been given permission to speak. You want to unmute? Well, maybe not. It's not giving me permission. There it goes. Ruby, if you want to unmute, test your mic, and then your 2 minutes will begin after that.
Check one,
Ruby,
two. Can you guys hear me?
Now I can. Yep.
Okay, perfect. Hi, thank you guys for meeting today. My name is Ruby Tuesday Romero, and I'm also on the COC board with Tamara. And I'm here to echo what Tamara provided in previous comments and the last comment as well. And I just want to uplift that, again, the governance structure was something that was decided to add additional committees to. And so I want to just stress the fact that we do need to sit down and meet. It is laid out in the ILA, and I would like to really get into the weeds with this. This work, as it was mentioned, it's not just one point of issue. It's kind of a multiple point of issues thing, and I would really like to have the ability to sit down and really work on this with both the governing committee and the implementation board. The implementation board seems more accessible. I would like to sit down with you guys and have a conversation, like for real, like as like colleagues, because that's what we are. And I don't feel like that has been reflected, as we are all board members. And I would like to just reiterate that. So thank you, and I yield back.
Thank you, Ruby. Last one so far that I have is Adam Rice. Asking anybody if they want to, before Adam speaks, if you want to provide public comment, please raise your hand. Adam, you've been given permission to speak. If you want to unmute, test your mic, and then your 2 minutes will begin after that. Let me reset the timer. Adam?
Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. Good afternoon, board members. I would simply like to say that this process was started to find the best candidate to lead an agency that's unlike any other, that's supposed to be unlike any other. I don't understand why there is not an ongoing proper investigation to find who leaked false or at best out of context quotes from a candidate in an attempt to undermine this process to find a good CEO for the KCRHA, which caused us to lose probably our most qualified candidate and another, leaving us with no choice but a candidate who, where she seems fine, doesn't really have any experience in the area that we need. CEO Powell has moved to correct the toxic work environment created by Helen Howell, especially for those with lived experience. This board has done a grave injustice to a man who has spent his life fighting for civil rights, and the KCRHA will suffer for it. But perhaps that was the plan all along. Yet again, there needs to be an investigation, and the person be that a servant of philanthropy or an elected official who leaked false information about Darrell Powell needs to be found, outed, and removed from this board. Thank you.
Thank you. Do my due diligence. Once this is gonna be the second ask. If anybody wants to provide public comment, please raise your hand in Zoom. Nobody is here at the public library in Lake City. And I'm gonna ask one more time before we close. If you want to give public comment, please raise your hand now. With that, Chair, I believe public comment is closed right on time. Chair, your mic is muted.
Thank you. Sorry for that. Thank you to everyone who provided comment. We always love to hear from everybody. And if you have any written comments or any other comments, please do send them on to Austin, whose email address is on the website. We are happy to receive comment that way as well. We now move to executive session pursuant to RCW 42.30.110G to evaluate the qualifications of an applicant for public employment for 20 minutes, and we will be back at 5:10 p.m. to hold a vote on resolution 2024-10. And to my colleagues, I believe this means we are logging off of this Zoom link and logging on to the Teams link that was sent.
Okay.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. This is Ben, the co-chair of the KCRHA. I'm popping back in here to let you know that we are extending the time of our executive session. We are 15 minutes into our 20 and have just finished the briefing from our attorney. So we're only now getting into the substantive discussion. We will be back at 5:25, no later than 5:30. Thank you.
Hi, Pastor. We are in executive session. The link should be in your email. I'll also throw it in chat.
Okay, thank you. I'll go to my email. So do I leave this meeting?
Yep, and then we'll come back at about 5:25.
So do I hit the leave button is what I need to say, or
Yes.
just that open? Oh, okay.
You can hit, yep.
Okay.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, Christopher Ross is back.
This camera works. Yes, this doesn't seem to like the Teams. Thank you very much.
I'd like to bid on your chair. Can you make me an offer?
Alrighty, y'all. I'm gonna be looking, see who is on the other side, who we can let in. There's the chair.
Okay, Austin, are we ready to resume?
I am doing one last check. Keisha's here. Lance here. Did we lose? That's Christopher, Brian. Mike D, are you there? You want to test your mic really quick, Mike?
Mike D, microphone check. Mike D.
Yep,
Thank
you
you.
are here.
Howdy,
Thank
Mike D
you.
here.
Howdy. I think everybody but Nate Caminos is. Oh, Nate is here. See, everybody's here, Chair.
Excellent. Thank you. And thank you for everyone in the observers' patience through that important executive session. We now move on to considering Resolution 2024-10 to recommend Dr. Kelly Kinnison to the Governing Committee to serve as CEO of the KCRHA. Is there a motion to approve that resolution?
Chair, I so moved it.
Thank you, Christopher. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. I didn't hear who that was.
Sorry, that's Simha. Ready.
Oh, sorry. Thank you, Simha. Great. So just for the purposes of all of us, this resolution in summary is going to recommend Dr. Kinnison to the Governing Committee. The Governing Committee is where the decision is made to appoint her or not. Is there any discussion on this motion?
This is John. Just a very quick question. Is the salary range that is, I think, in the second, therefore, is that the correct salary range? I think it said 250 to 3.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to make sure.
Chair, it looks like Mike D's hand is up.
Sure, Mike, please.
Thank you. Are you going to read the motion into the record for those that may be audio challenge or visual challenged, and just so we're clear on what the motion is, and I have a potential motion also.
Mike, that's not been our practice in the past, but something we can consider for future meetings if you'd like to discuss that, the reading of the resolution.
Is there a quick summary of the motion?
The summary is that the motion recommends to the Governing Committee that Dr. Kinnison is appointed CEO of the KCRHA.
Thank you. Discussion-wise, I am planning to vote no on this due to process. I'm concerned about the alleged confidential interview that did not appear to remain confidential, and that 2 candidates were dropped out soon afterwards. And it seems like we need a little time to address that leak. I'm also concerned about the meeting on May 8th that appeared to be a special meeting and is currently under a lawsuit for an alleged OPMA violation. I'm concerned that the interim CEO, who was an alleged candidate, I can't confirm or deny they're a candidate because as far as I know, this is still executive session kind of stuff. but sent what appears to be a whistleblower letter, and then it appeared that the staff tried to remove them, and the union, and a number of this stuff is concerning. This kind of motion I feel should be done at a regular board meeting and not at a special board meeting. So for those reasons and more, I'll stop. I'll probably be voting no on this. Thanks. And I need time to talk to my constituents. Thanks.
Thank you, Mike. Are there any other comments or discussion on this?
I have a question, Ben.
Yes, Pastor Anderson, please.
Yeah, do we have any language around our bylaws about this process? And are we in compliance with it?
The bylaws. Go ahead, please, Austin.
Yeah, so Pastor Anderson, in the ILA, it is a joint, it says the recruitment of the CEO is a joint between the implementation board and the governing committee. The governing committee passed a resolution, the number just got away from me. I think it was 2023. I don't remember the number off the top of my head. I think it was 14. They passed a resolution establishing the CEO search subcommittee. And that is basically the legislation that led the charge to the CEO search. The other resolution was 2023-14 was hiring NPAG. And they were the ones that got the selection. So there's a couple resolutions throughout this process, but the main guiding thing was in the ILA, where it was a joint session between the IB and the GC.
So well, just to further my question, this is a specially called meeting. So is there language around voting on this matter in a special election, specially called meeting, or do we have to wait for a regular?
No, there's no, there's not.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor Carey. Is there anybody else who'd like to say anything? Oh, I see a bunch of hands, sorry. Simha, then Gordon and Ryan.
Yeah, I just wanted to take a moment to speak to Dr. Kinnison and her candidacy and qualifications. And I am excited about her hopefully becoming CEO of KCRHA. I think she's clearly done her homework on this community, the problems that we face. I think she approaches this work with a sense of humility, which I am deeply appreciative of. And I think she's going to create a really strong culture at KCRHA. The staff have been working extraordinarily hard these last years, and I want to make sure that they are well supported, and I feel like she will help do so. So I think fundamentally, I think she's going to do right by our agency and by this community. So those are my thoughts.
Thank you. Gordon?
Yeah, thank you very much. I'll be brief, especially since I concur very much with what Simha Reddy just summarized. I look at this and think about the KCRHA. It's still in many ways a startup entity with struggles to find a place and a role to serve immediate needs, and also to help us evolve into a much stronger society here in this region. So when I think about this, I am mindful that the process was well communicated. It felt like, to me, the process was competitive. There was a lot of interest, and certainly there were some interesting behaviors that may have bordered on sabotage, but that was not done by the candidate that's in front of us, Dr. Kinnison. And I think Dr. Kinnison far exceeds the minimums that we established for this next CEO. I perceive that she is sincere in her interest to lead this organization, to relocate and to lead this organization. And it's clear to me that we, the folks that benefit from of KCRH and the staff of KCRH and the providers all need a leader. And I'm ready for us to make that decision. And therefore, I will be voting in favor of Dr. Kinnison as the next CEO of the King County Regional Homeless Authority. Thank you.
Thank you, Gordon. Ryan, and then John.
Thank you very much. I will also be voting in favor of recommending Dr. Kinnison's appointment to the CEO position. And as I do, I just wanted to share some brief thoughts, both as I think the newest IB board member and as someone who's worked in homelessness for many years, about where we are and what the public and this board should expect from Dr. Kinnison as CEO. I think two things are really clear to me from both my years of work on homelessness and these few short weeks that I've been on the implementation board. The first thing is that the KCRHA's governance structure is unworkable at the moment and deeply in need of reform, and that reform should include really serious, open public conversation about both what the goals of the agency are and how it's funded and supported by local government and others in service of our regional commitment to end homelessness. So that's the first point. The second point is that despite all of those challenges that the RHA faces, it is absolutely essential, in my view, that we remain committed to a regional solution to our regional homelessness problem. I've spent the last 8 years of my career working to end homelessness in this country and around the world. I've worked in shelters here in King County, and I've built relationships with people experiencing homelessness. It is a moral crisis that there are still people dying on our streets tonight, and we are obligated to work to end it. This work is personal to me, and that's in part why I remain completely convinced that the solution here is to improve the RHA, not start from scratch. So it's in that spirit that I am going to vote to recommend Dr. Kinnison's appointment today to serve as a steady hand on the tiller during what I expect will be a pretty tumultuous period for the agency. In her interviews and in her material, she's come across as clear, as well prepared, as emotionally intelligent, and as level-headed. These are going to be critical skills for this role. And should she be appointed, I think the public should be really clear-eyed about what we can and can't expect from any new CEO. We can't expect Dr. Kinnison or any new CEO to fix these governance issues that the RHA faces single-handedly. That's going to be our collective work, the folks on this board, the folks on the governing committee, and many others besides. And that work is essential to making sure that Dr. Kinnison, should she be offered and should she accept the role, is in a position to succeed. What we can expect, I hope, is for the next CEO to significantly improve the day-to-day work culture at the RHA and to make significant improvements to the RHA's ability to deliver on its existing commitments. And as others have said, the way Dr. Kinnison has shown up in this process makes me think that she will excel in those areas and hopefully be a good partner to us on the broader governance work. So for those reasons, I'll be voting to recommend Dr. Kinnison to the governing committee.
Thank you, Ryan. John, and then Paula.
Yeah, just very quickly. Well, since we're both King County appointees, I'll say to Ryan, thank you for saying most of what I would have said. I think Dr. Kinnison will be an excellent candidate and an excellent leader for this agency. I was impressed that she has worked through 3 presidential administrations at the highest levels of the Health and Human Services Department. And she has worked on really transforming the way many people in the department think about issues like homelessness and others, and the importance of dealing and listening to those with lived experience. I think she's going to be a great leader. As many of you know, I committed to stay on after my term left until till June. So I'm going to be able to make this vote with 3 days to spare and to vote enthusiastically for her appointment.
Thank you, John.
I just want to echo what Ryan said and what John said. We remain committed to a regional approach. We know that moving backwards will be more detrimental to our community and to our unhoused neighbors. I also want to say, just being a part of the process, I think Dr. Kinnison brings a lot of experience. I'm especially excited about her kind of political chops. I think we all understand that the RHA is very unique. and has had its troubles. But as a community years ago, we said that we would move fast and we would move differently. And that sometimes is ugly. And I think it's so easy to tear something down when it's, when it experiences hiccups. But I do believe in Dr. Kinnison's ability to bring us together. And I think that's one of the things that really shine through in her interview is that she's a bridger. She's going to be able to make connections with our stakeholders, with our people with lived experience. She's going to center equity, and she's going to move our community forward because our neighbors deserve that. And so I am also going to vote in favor of promoting Dr. Kinnison to the governing committee. Thank you, Ben.
Thank you, Paula. Christopher, and then Mike again.
Thank you very much. I appreciate all the comments that my peers have said. From Gordon, I really appreciate your comments. Ryan, it was beautiful. It's hard to add anything to those, so I would +1 on every one. The only thing that I think I have net new to add that is something else relevant in my decision making, and one of the reasons I am voting positively for Dr. Kinnison, is the core staff at KCRHA is also a very talented and capable staff. And the CEO is really not going to be the single doer. They're going to be the empowerer and the coach and the person that helps unlock those individuals and give them both the air cover and the guidance that they need to be successful. And I really get out of Dr. Kinnison from the conversations, both in interviews and in her materials, and even from her references, that she is an excellent coach. And so one of the aspects I appreciate about all the things that my peers have mentioned she'll bring to the position is her ability to actually help elevate the KCRHA team, because it is going to be the team that's going to be pulling this through. It's not going to be one person. She is merely the CEO who helps guide them and helps unlock all the potential. And I believe mightily in the KCRHA team and their ability. So I will be voting yes for Dr. Kinnison to be the leader of that group.
Thank you, Christopher. Mike?
Thank you, Mike D here again. I wanted to spell out an acronym that I used. The OPMA is the Open Public Meetings Act. And then I also wanted to remind us that this potential recommendation doesn't need to be made before the regular board meeting, because the governing committee doesn't even meet till like a week after our regular board meeting. So I would suggest delaying it. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Anybody else hasn't had a chance to speak yet? If not, I'll just make one comment. So this group, this implementation board, is tasked with ensuring the governance of the organization that is responsible for addressing the most pressing social issue that we have in our society. We're in the midst of a homelessness crisis. And yet it seems that our authority itself lurches from crisis to crisis, as have we seen with some of the recent troubles in our search. We've had multiple CEOs in the past. We have severe budget constraints. We have sharp critics on all sides. And very recently, we've seen a heartbreaking move of 20% in the wrong direction on what I believe is our most critical success metric, that is the number of unsheltered homeless people in our region. Given the importance of our task and the critical point at which we find ourselves now, I believe it's critical that we come together and support Dr. Kinnison as our next CEO. I say that not because Dr. Kinnison was the last remaining finalist in our process, but because as a member of the search committee, I saw us take the pool of 400 candidates and bring them down to that 3, an excellent slate of 3 that we had. And I can assure everyone who's here and listening that we did not in any way change our standards. Dr. Kinnison is not a deep veteran of King County's homelessness struggles. She's not a deep homelessness subject matter expert. She doesn't have deep network connections in our community. However, I believe those things can be an asset, as well as many other things that she brings to the table here. She is a deep expert in policy evaluation. And I believe that every single one of us here knows that we need to be evaluating the policies that we've chosen to reduce homelessness and make sure that we are on the right track. She also brings a very deep commitment to lived experience. For those of you who haven't seen it, I suggest you read her white paper that she wrote on behalf of the federal government on how best to include lived experience, a value that we hold very dear, indeed a founding value of our authority. With regards to timing, I believe that we need to act now, both because our organization needs to react to a crisis that is ongoing, where any delay literally can be measured in human lives, and also because we owe it to our staff and to our service providers who have come to me in multiple forums and asked for nothing more than just stability. I agree with what Ryan and Sima mentioned, that we absolutely do need to reform the governance of our organization. But I believe that having a strong CEO in place will facilitate that transition to a more workable governance structure. Ultimately, I believe that we have made the right choice here in selecting Dr. Kinnison, and I'm personally very excited to get to work with her. I believe that all of you will come to see her as we have in the search committee, as a strong leader, a committed public servant, an intellectual, and ultimately a person who brings sincere care and humility to a role that very much needs it. Thank you. Okisha, please.
Yep, I'll be quick. Today I've heard a lot of words like support and accountability and lived experience and team and unity. And I sit on this board and I believe there is so much potential, but honestly, I feel like I sit on the board where there is what seems to feel like a lot of practices of division, and that's been my experience. And not hearing or implementing the voices of those with lived experience as they are carried onwards through the people on this board that have that direct, and I say direct with a capital D, that hears that direct information and want and need from those that are still on the floor and on the grounds experiencing houselessness. And so with that being said, I just want to uplift that. How do we support when there's not even so much what feels like support within our own board? That's just something that I feel like I need to say. We have to work within our own selves before we try to invite others in to do such a highly impactful job, whether it's we're going to support them or not. Again, how do we support when it feels as if it's meant to be divided or designed to be divided? Not necessarily the intentions in the beginning, but as of lately, that's how it's felt.
Thank you, Okisha, for sharing that. Are there any other comments or discussion on this important decision? If not, I believe we can do a roll call vote. Austin? You're on mute.
Yeah. All right. Yes, that is correct. We can do a roll call vote. Just as Member D highlighted, just a quick summary. This is a motion to approve of Resolution 2024-10 that will recommend Kelly Kinnison, PhD of the Commonwealth of Virginia, to be CEO of the King County Regional Homelessness Authority to the governing committee for consideration. That is the vote up. The resolution is up on the screen as well. We'll start off with Member Anderson. Yes, no, or abstain?
I will abstain since I wasn't involved in the process.
Got it. Member Caminos,
Unfortunately, I vote no.
Member Carvalho,
Yes.
Member Shelmanack,
Yes.
Member Moritz,
Yes.
Member McHenry,
Yes.
Member Pat now is not present. Member Brandon,
Abstain.
Member Reddy,
Yes.
Chair Floyd,
I abstain.
Member Ross,
Yes.
Member Watt,
Yes.
and finally Member D.
Mike D, representing the people with lived experience block, voting no. Thank you.
Chair, the motion passes with 7 ayes, 2 nays, and 3 abstentions.
Excellent. Well, thank you all, and congratulations to Dr. Kinnison, as well as to everybody else who's involved in this process. So I believe we have only one last item of business here, which is to give a big thank you to John Shelmanack for his many years of service on this board and many, many years of commitment to homelessness in our region before that. John, you've been a real mentor to me as I joined this board, and have been so helpful on so many topics. I can't count the number of phone calls we've had. Thank you so much for that personal advice, as well as to your commitment to this board, as well as to all the work that you've done to keep us on the rails, especially in the early years, as being the, I hate to say it, one of the few grown-ups in the room here. Thank you. A very sincere thank you.
Thank you, Ben. It's been a pleasure serving with all of you. I just want all of you to know that, and look forward to following the work of the Regional Homeless Authority in the future. And my blessings to all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. If no other business, is there a motion to adjourn?
I motion that we adjourn.
Thank you.
Second.
Great. No objection. Then we are now adjourned. Thank you all.
Thanks all.
Bye.
Thanks all.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.